I welcome you to my videos, Rajendra Tandon videos. The subject for today is music, dance and games under the Vrindavan skies when a 6-year-old Krishna went out with his friends to graze the cows. The narration describes the scenery of the place as well as the activities of the children. They are face to face with nature in its pristine glory. They have been permitted to graze cows, and not just cows. The forest floor looked and felt like a velvet carpet of green grass. Multicolored flowers bloomed as in the valley of flowers. Shyam Sundara led the procession, playing on his flute. The fragrant flowers attracted flights of melodious black bees, humming their song to beauty. Hordes of light-skinned deer lapped fearlessly in playful pursuit of freedom. Speckled warblers, white-throated munias, common rose-finch sparrows, crested buntings, crimson sunbirds, green magpies, glistening black and brown spotted quails, golden orioles, and parakeets of various descriptions, with red curved beaks and green feathers, made their love calls or raised cries of alarm. The ponds all around were full of crystal clear water, pure as the conscience of a sadhu. Remarkable simile. The forest had several ancient trees. Their nascent red branches, bent with the weight of fruit and flowers, seemed to touch Krishna's feet in obeisance. Balram addressed his brother. Look, these trees try to touch your lotus feet with offerings of delicious fruit and fragrant flowers. It is to attain this privilege that these trees have grown in Vrindavan. They are blessed. Hiding your celestial reality, you have descended here to live and play as a child. However, the rishis and munis, recognizing who you are, born as Brahmaras, are engaged in praying to you and singing your glory in their humming. Please note that the entire narrative is soaked in bhakti ras, the bhakti to Lord, bhakti to Krishna, who is an incarnation of Vishnu, who has come to deliver this world of evil. Balaram continues, here is a peacock dancing in delight at your arrival at his home. Your darshana has blessed him. The deer obliquely glance at you like the doe-eyed gopis to express their love for you. What a warm welcome is being accorded to you by the quails through their melodious cooing. They are blessed even though they are mere forest dwellers, because by temperament the noble and the virtuous place their most prized possessions at the disposal of an Atithi. How lovely! Krishna is the Atithi in the forest of all the birds and animals. The imagery is just superb. It's high literature, great literature, moving. While grazing his cattle, Krishna engaged himself in several sports, fun and games in the foothills of Govardhan mountain. He mimicked the honking of the Rajhans floating in the ponds. He waddled like a duck. He danced with the ease and grace of a peacock. His agility put the brilliant bird with its outspread plume to shame. Now listen. At times Krishna called the animals by name in a voice deep as thunder. Hearing his call, the animals and the young cowherds came running. They recognized that voice. Krishna could imitate the sounds of chakor, cronch, chakava, peacock and many other birds. He chattered like jays, he twittered like swallows and purred like cats. He could ape the roar of the lions and the growl of tigers. At times he trumpeted like an elephant and at others lowed like an ox. He talked like a parrot and cooed like a pigeon. He bleated like a calf, mooed like a cow, and droned like beetles. This skill provided enough merriment to his companions. Sometimes Balaram fell asleep with his head in a cowherd's lap. Krishna would knead and massage his legs and fan him with a banana leaf or a hand towel. The brothers encouraged the cowherds when the latter wrestled or danced. Note the sheer simplicity of the happenings and the surroundings and the activities. There is no rancor, it's all brotherhood, it's all love and affection for each other. God has come to the earth to bless. They laughed and shouted, "Well done," or "Encore." At times Krishna joined the cowherds in wrestling and allowed them to win. When tired, he slept on a bed of soft new leaves, using the lap of one of his companions as a pillow. Returning home, the lotus-eyed Krishna walked to Braj, accompanied by Balaram and the young cowherds. Their companions, who walked a few steps behind, sang songs of praise and repeatedly applauded Balarama's feat in killing a few demons. That was routine. Krishna's curls were covered by dust raised by the cow's hooves. Mark the observation. He had put a peacock crown on his head and had inserted bunches of pretty flowers in his tresses. He led them as a leader does. His eyes were sparkling and mischievous. He was playing a melody on his flute. As the gopis heard the sound, they emerged from their homes and stood looking at him with an unflinching gaze. An entire day they had waited for his return and the return of the young boys. Now they drank deep in his darshana and quenched their insatiable thirst by looking at his face, a lotus face. The child God accepted the love and affection, relating him to them and radiating through their oblique glances. He blessed each one of them by making eye contact through his Maya. This was not a flirtation. This was a connect with bhakti expressed in human emotions. Rohini and Yashoda welcomed their sons with open arms, served them meals of their choice. The boys were massaged with fragrant oil and turmeric and were given a bath in the Yamuna water. It was late evening. They were tired. Soon they went to sleep. The entire narrative makes you feel one with Krishna, one with nature, one with Vrindavan, one with the cows, one with those peacocks, lucky fellows, and the quails, and the trees, and the velvet grass. Read it again and again. Read Krishna Leela. Every chapter is redolent with great poetry soaked in bhakti ras. I thank you for listening to this video. I hope it excites you to read the entire book. I'll be back soon